Devastated Savannah Chrisley had party planned for Julie's homecoming. Savannah Chrisley is devastated after she had a welcome home party planned for her mother, Julie Chrisley. It seems that she thought she was going to get out of prison. However, that was not the case. This is a difficult time for their family. Savannah has made it clear that she will not stop fighting for her parents' freedom. Keep reading to find out more about this. Todd and Julie Chrisley in prison. Todd and Julie Chrisley are currently in federal prison. This is for tax evasion and fraud. Fans were shocked to hear this when it happened. However, their family has been fighting for their freedom since the day they were arrested. Julie Chrisley got a resentencing hearing. This was due to them having insufficient evidence. However, the hearing did not go as they had hoped. She was sentenced to the same amount of time. Her family was hoping that their mother would get released early. Unfortunately, that was not going to happen. Savannah Chrisley is devastated. Savannah Chrisley is devastated after her mother's hearing. Unfortunately, Savannah had planned a party for her mother. Savannah's family wants her to tone down a bit when it comes to publicly speaking about the case. However, that is not going to happen. She will continue to fight for her parents' freedom. Savannah Chrisley stood in the middle of her kitchen, her hands trembling as she stared at the assortment of decorations spread out on the counter. Balloons in soft pastel shades of blue, pink, and silver were still packed in their shiny plastic bags, untouched. Streamers lay crumpled in a corner, and a large welcome home banner sat folded on the island, its vibrant letters hidden from view. She had spent hours planning every detail, imagining the joy on her mother Julie's face as she walked through the door after months away. But now the door wasn't going to open. A sigh escaped Savannah's lips, heavy with disappointment and grief. The homecoming party she had spent so much time organizing felt pointless now. For weeks, she had been holding on to the hope that her mom's sentence might be reduced, that there would be some miracle, some last-minute twist that would bring Julie back home. But that wasn't how things were unfolding. Another appeal had been denied, and the news had shattered the fragile optimism Savannah had clung to. Her mom wasn't coming home. Not now. Not soon. Savannah dropped her hands onto the cool marble countertop, staring at the unused decorations in front of her. How could she have been so hopeful? The weeks leading up to today had been emotionally exhausting, the roller coaster of court updates and legal battles draining her of strength. She had tried to stay positive for the sake of her younger siblings, Grayson and Chloe, telling them everything would be okay. But inside, she was crumbling. This party had been her lifeline, the thing that kept her pushing forward. She had imagined the scene countless times. Julie walking through the front door, tears of joy streaming down her face as she was greeted by her family. Balloons floating above her, music playing, Grayson and Chloe running into her arms. Savannah could almost hear her mom's voice, filled with warmth and laughter, asking her if she went overboard with the decorations. You know me, Savannah would have replied with a grin. Go big or go home. But now there would be no laughter, no joyful reunion, no warm embrace. Instead, there was silence, punctuated only by the ticking of the kitchen clock that seemed louder than ever in the empty room. Savannah bit her lip, fighting back the tears that had threatened to spill since she'd received the crushing news earlier that morning. She knew she had to be strong, not just for herself, but for her family. Grayson and Chloe had already been through so much, and they needed her more than ever. But sometimes, being strong felt impossible. She moved toward the large window that overlooked the backyard, where she had planned to set up a barbecue for the homecoming party. The space that was supposed to be filled with friends and family, celebrating Julie's return, now felt like a ghost of something that would never happen. The chairs were still stacked neatly, the picnic tables unused, and the fairy lights Savannah had strung up around the fence now seemed to mock her with their stillness. The phone rang on the counter behind her, breaking the heavy silence. Savannah glanced at the screen, her heart skipping when she saw her dad's name. She hesitated, not sure if she was ready to hear his voice. Todd had been trying to keep spirits up from behind bars, but Savannah knew he was struggling too. The facade of strength he tried to project over the phone calls was thin, and she could hear the cracks in his voice more often than not. With a deep breath, she answered the call. "Hey, Dad," she said, trying to keep her tone steady. "Hey, sweetheart." Todd's voice came through, sounding tired, more worn out than usual. "How are you holding up?" Savannah leaned against the counter, her eyes closing for a moment. "I don't know," she admitted quietly. I thought this was it. I thought she'd be coming home. I had everything ready. The balloons, the decorations, I planned the whole thing." Her voice faltered, and she paused, swallowing hard. "But it's not happening." There was a long silence on the other end before Todd spoke again, softer this time. "I'm so sorry, Savannah. I know how much you were hoping for this." Savannah nodded, even though her dad couldn't see her. "It just feels like it was all for nothing," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to keep pretending everything is okay." "You don't have to pretend," Todd said gently. "Not with me, and not with anyone else. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to be angry. You've been carrying so much weight, more than anyone should have to." Savannah's chest tightened as the words hit her, and before she could stop them, the tears finally came. She pressed the phone to her ear, trying to compose herself, but the dam had broken, and the sobs shook her shoulders. She wanted to be strong, wanted to be the pillar of support her family needed, but right now, all she felt was heartbreak. "I miss her so much, Dad," she cried, her voice cracking. "I just want her home." "I know, sweetheart," Todd whispered. "We all do. And she's going to come home one day. Maybe not today, but one day. And when that happens, it's going to be even more special because of everything we've been through." Savannah wiped her tears with the back of her hand, sniffling as she tried to regain her composure. "I just don't know how much longer we can keep going like this." "We'll take it one day at a time," Todd said, his voice full of quiet determination. "That's all we can do. And when your mom does come home, we'll have the biggest, most incredible celebration ever. Bigger than anything you've planned. She's worth waiting for." Savannah managed a small smile through her tears. "You were right," she whispered. "She is worth waiting for." As the call ended, Savannah glanced at the decorations again, her heart still heavy, but a small flicker of hope reigniting inside her. Maybe the party wouldn't happen today, but that didn't mean it never would. One day, Julie would walk through that door, and when she did, Savannah would make sure the celebration was everything her mother deserved. For now, she would wait, and she would keep believing that day would come.